Hello and welcome again to another episode of One Starfish, where our mission is to help change the world one person or one starfish at a time. As always, make sure to rate, review, subscribe. This is how we get the word out about what we do. If you haven't checked out the YouTube channel, check out the YouTube channel. You'll love all the footballs behind this amazing girl I just met today. So I'm excited for our guest today, Hillary. Hillary works with NFL teams, NBA teams, and of course companies, but the sports sounds more exciting if you're into sports, I'm sure, as a financial educator and strategist, and has been doing that for 16 years, though I didn't think she's much older than 16. She looks very good for her age then, and must have started very young, and I'm excited for our journey today. So welcome to the show, Hillary.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. Let's dive in.
So let's do it. Tell us a little bit. I mean, first of all, you're in Idaho, which is kind of cool. Farm girl, you sound like. Is that where you were raised? Was on a farm? Like, tell us a little bit about your journey and what got you into literally the big leagues.
Right. I'm actually originally from Oregon, so a small farming town in Oregon. I grew up on a tree nursery, a 20,000 acre tree nursery. So my family my family came across on the Oregon Trail in the 1800s. So I was like fourth generation Oregonian. Very much a farm girl, grew up shooting the squirrels and riding four-wheelers and working in the fields. And probably about 5 years ago, decided I was ready to leave Oregon. My mom had passed a few years back. My dad wanted to come back to Idaho, where he's from. Originally, he's actually on the border of Oregon and Idaho. So it's called the Treasure Valley. Most people have no idea this even exists, but there is a town on the Oregon side of the Oregon-Idaho border that is part of the Treasure Valley, and that's Ontario, Oregon. It's got like 9,000 people. It's very small. It's where my dad's from. He wanted to come back. I said, well, I'm not going there, but I'll go to Boise. And sure enough, we've been here. I've been here for about 5 years now. I have my little homestead and just rocking and rolling.
Oh, that's really cool. Sorry about your mom.
Okay.
Yeah. So you were very much a tomboy. Were you the only child, or do you have brothers?
I have brothers. I have a biological brother and an adopted one. They're both younger. And I was really the only girl in our whole neighborhood. So grew up playing football down at the cul-de-sac with all the guys. My brother's friends were always over. Just, I was kind of always one of the dudes. And then it was like my senior year in high school. Everyone realized I was a girl, and they left me alone. And I went off to college, and that was that. But yeah, my biological brother and I are very, very close. My adopted brother and I talk, 2 times a week. He's off crusading the world. He gets on the back of his motorcycle and goes. So we see him when we see him.
Wow. So you're all kind of doing your own thing. Your dad, slash, your mom has set an example, and, I guess that's pretty cool. What got you into financial education?
It was a mixture of dealing with medical issues with my mom. And then my parents were both finance heads. And my dad said, don't go to college and get a degree you can't use. Do something in business, because even if you don't use the degree specifically, you'll at least have some of those skills to go do anything you want to do in the future. So my mom was a CPA, and she also was an entrepreneur. She ran 3 of her own companies after they sold the family business when I was 12. So that's kind of in my blood, entrepreneurship. Yep. And when my mom got sick, I was 19. That's what caused financial education to begin for me, because money was easy until then. My parents kind of took care of everything. I was a very blessed young kid. We weren't wealthy. We were middle-class Americans, but I didn't have to worry. I had everything I needed. I definitely didn't have everything I wanted. As a kid, you understand. But my mom got sick, and money started to look different very quickly, and medical bills piled up very quickly. And I realized I knew nothing about how the system worked. I didn't understand how money was made quickly. I wanted to learn all of those things. And I took 5 to 10 years of my life self-teaching while working in the banking system. And sure enough, about, I'd say 4 years into my banking career, I was asked to come and provide speaking engagements and workshops for a nonprofit that was helping people transition out of prison. And so I was working on that with Project Clean Slate Portland, which was a really fun experience. I got to help a lot of people, but I was still really young in my career. I was probably only 25, maybe 26. My mom was at the tail end of her life. So I had a lot going on. And I was learning all of this stuff. I mean, I began the journey at 19, and by 28, I realized I had a set of skills that I could use, which was my background in speaking, which I'd had since high school, and this really wealth of knowledge that I'd accumulated while working in banking, while working in mortgage, and while teaching finance. And I said, I want to go do something with this. And by the time I was 30, I had my first NFL contract that turned into 12 within 2 years. And we've just been rocking and rolling ever since.
Wow. How did you manage to get your first NFL contract? Tell us about that.
That was I'm not going to say it was luck. It was just knowing the right people. I helped a few NFL players that I personally knew from college while they were in the league. And my name kind of got passed around between the guys because they all talk in terms of like, hey, if you have questions about credit, call her. If you don't know how to buy a car, call her. If you don't know how to vet your financial team, call her. And so I started getting calls from guys that I didn't know who they were. They're like, hey, I'm so-and-so with, the Atlanta Falcons, the Miami Dolphins, the this, or that. So I was just helping them. I wasn't doing curriculum. I wasn't building them programs, just helping the guys one off. And I got connected with the Miami Dolphins director of player engagement, Caleb Thornhill, just through these networks and through the guys. Do good things happen. I'm a big proponent of that. He called me and said, I want you to build a program for the Dolphins. And I said, cool, let's do it. And we did. And then that same year, I picked up the Browns and the Packers. And it was a domino effect after that. The following year, it was the Rams, the Niners, the Colts, the Chiefs. There's a whole bunch of them, but they all just kind of came because there's only 32 people that can hire me to do what I do. And they all know each other very well. They're always on calls together. And I just became one of the resources, which was a blessing. And now we get to serve. Well, actually, we just added our 13th team. So we're now serving 13 teams in the NFL, which is really cool. And then that spiraled into the NBA. So the guy that gave me my first shot in Miami went to the San Antonio Spurs a few years back, called me and said, I'm not using anyone else. Get down here. We're going to interview you. Went down to San Antonio, met the owner, met the CEO, met the GM, spent an entire day interviewing with them, and probably the hardest interview of my life. And then in the best possible way, I learned a lot, and I really loved the organization. Met some people that I'd heard their names before, but didn't really think anything of it. And now they've become close friends of mine. So it's just been a real blessing to be able to do that work. But it's also very segmented work in that there's only so much time. So I don't spend a lot of time with the NFL and the NBA. It's maybe 3 months out of my 12 in a year.
When you started doing that, I feel like, that's really cool. At that age and stuff, especially, where did the confidence come from that you could walk into those rooms? I think a lot of people deal with a lack of confidence. I didn't watch sports. I didn't care. I watch hockey. I'm a hockey fan. I've always been a hockey fan. I used to travel around and watch hockey specifically. I didn't go to my first NFL game until 2019. So when the Browns invited me to my first game, and I sat in the player suite with the injured guys and the P squad guys, and they literally explained the game to me. I had never gone. I really didn't care. It just wasn't what I was raised on. I was raised on college football and NHL. And when I walked into the rooms, people forget that when they're not playing football, they're 22-year-old kids. And my job wasn't to go in there and tell them how to do things. My job was to go in and simply help them. And I always just approached it that way. And I think that might have been why it was successful, because I never went in and was like, oh my gosh, this is a room full of high paid athletes. I walked in, I was like, you guys don't know what the fuck you're doing. Excuse my language. Sorry, what you're doing. I work with a lot of athletes. We cuss a lot. I'm working on it. Okay. They're bad influences on me. But you don't know what they're doing. They have zero clue what they're doing. And because they don't know what they're doing, my job became very easy. I wasn't there to be anything other than a resource. And that has worked in my favor without me realizing that's how we approached it. This will be my 9th season with the NFL. So I turn 39 next month, going on 40, loving it. And I think I just approached it. They're just people that needed help, and it worked. I didn't go into it with that mindset. I went in with just like, oh, these are my friends. My friends went through the same thing in the NFL. I'm just helping my friends. That worked in my favor. I love that. And what do you see as the biggest problem? With money and stuff, what do you see as something, maybe I don't know about the biggest problem, but like, what are some of the things that you see as the biggest things that you're coaching about that you see as fix it?
Yeah. It's the same for everyone, whether they're an NFL player, an employee just starting their first job at a company, an intern. Everyone has the same issues with money. the first biggest core issue is they don't understand it. We are raised in a way that money is taught to us emotionally first, and our environment dictates it before we actually learn about it. So what I mean by that is when we're children, I mean, we're talking adolescence, our minds are being developed. At that young age, we're seeing how money moves, but we're not understanding how it actually works. Case in point, my 3-year-old nephew, bless his little heart, we were watching Bluey when I was over there, and a commercial came on for, I don't even know what toy it was, if I'm being honest. I wasn't paying close enough attention. And he looks over at my brother and says, "Daddy, I want that. Can you get the credit card?" Say what?
3.
Okay. He understands that the credit card buys the thing on TV, but he doesn't understand the mechanics behind where does the money come from? How do you pay the credit? We're learning to spend it before we ever learn what it truly is and how to use it as a tool. And we're learning it at such a young age. We all learned it at such a young age. Now, my generation didn't learn it from TV. Yeah, there were ads, but nobody bought stuff off the television. You had to go to the you had to go to the store, you had to go to the grocery store, Toys R Us or Walmart or whatever. And people wrote checks when I was a kid. Like the debit card came out when I was born. So the year I was born was the year debit cards became a thing. And most people didn't even use them until the later 1990s, because again, it was fear of like, I don't understand how this works. It doesn't make sense. People were writing checks. And, I thought the checkbook was the magic moneymaker. And now kids think it's the credit card, but it's the environment that we were raised in. We're taught about money before we learn how it works. We have an emotional tie to it before we understand how to handle that emotional tie. And then once we get it, our initial impact is go spend it. Like our initial thought is we've got to spend it. We've got to spend it. We get rid of it so fast without realizing that holding on to it can actually be a better tool. And that is where I see most people I work with fail. Is they don't understand the mechanics. They don't understand how to use it the right way and how it can grow if used properly. There's a lot of fear. And so that fear drives emotional decisions, which are not logical and don't always help with money. So that's what I combat with NFL players. Same thing goes for 22-year-old come out of college, 18-year-old going into the trades, 50-year-old with 2 kids. We're all dealing with the same stuff. And so that's where we start. It's not, you don't know how to budget. Oh, it goes so much deeper than that. So much deeper than that.
That's cool. And so you wrote a few books. Tell us a little bit about them and which one, someone's going to reach out. By the way, we'll have all this information in the show notes. I know you guys will want to learn about money more. What is one of your favorite books that you recommend for someone to start with?
I like The Psychology of Money. It's probably one of my favorite books ever written. I listen to it on audiobook once a year. I used to read it, and I actually prefer listening to it now. Not because I don't love to read. I read all the time. But there's something to be said about being able to pause my audiobook and really think about what they just said, go back and re-listen to it. And The Psychology of Money teaches us how we think about money personally. So each person's journey is different, and each person thinks about money differently. And I love that book for it. So that's my favorite book that I haven't written. And I wouldn't say my books are my favorite either. But that is absolutely my number one choice.
Out of the books you have written, which one would you recommend first? So you have
Train Your Money
behind you. Train Your Money.
Yeah. Train Your Money. That is, that's I call it my simple guide. So one of the things I found as a financial educator, I never thought I was going to write a book. I'm going to be honest, Angela, I never would have. I'm not a writer. It's not my thing. I'm a speaker by trade. But I kept finding all these finance books, and they were like 500 or 600 pages long. I don't even want to read that. And I'm a financial educator. So I sat down and made it my mission to make a book that was less than 150 pages that hits the 10 core principles of money. So that anytime you are dealing with money or working with money, you can go to one of the 10 chapters, open it up, and you have a 10-page reference guide on how to handle conversations with a family member about money, how to set up your emergency fund or refund it because something happened. How do you handle debt from hey, I'm in debt or I'm trying to get out of debt. And each chapter focuses on the tools you can actually use. And there's a companion guide that comes with it. I think it was about 30 pages is what we made. You just go to the chapter and you do the 2-page worksheet and boom, you're done. I didn't want finance to be hard. Everybody makes it so complicated. And it doesn't have to be. So that's why I wrote Train Your Money. And I think it's a great way for people to just learn money in an easy way through storytelling.
Cool. Let's go into some personal stuff because I always love going into personal stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm here for it.
So we chatted for like 5 seconds before, and you mentioned you're not married, which I found surprising because you're a gorgeous lady, and
Thank you.
you know, obviously, quote, successful, whatever that means, and maybe that's part of it. Why do you think, you know, you're not, and how do you feel about that?
Well, part of my problem is I never leave my house, unless I'm going to travel to an NFL team, and then that puts me in airports. That's about it. My gym is here. My life is here. I have a gym in my garage. When I'm home, I don't leave. I really don't have the opportunity to meet a lot of people. Not because I don't want to. I work
Guys,
12
hey,
hours a day.
listen in. This might be a referral situation here.
I work 12 to 15 hours a day. My gym is in my house. So that's what I do when I first wake up is I go to the gym. I walk outside. My dog's here. My life is good. My dad lives right down the street. He's my best friend on the planet. So I spend most evenings like cooking for him. He comes over here. I go there. He lives 10 minutes away. It's very, very
so
simple.
Cool.
And my two best friends live here. So I spend most of my free time with my best friend and her husband. And then my other very good friend, Alexandra, she's going to be leaving me here soon. She's going to Austin her man lives in Austin. So she's moving, she's leaving us. But we've been like the Musketeers forever. So I like to keep my circle small. I also work with NFL athletes. So most people want to know me for the wrong reasons. And
yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah, I just don't. No, I wouldn't say most people. There are some people that want to know me for the wrong reasons. The people that don't care about football don't care what I do, which is a win-win. But yeah, that's part of it. And then the other part is I really value my peace, and I don't handle immaturity and low emotional IQs very well. I'm very much a person who admits when she's wrong and says, "Hey, I messed that up. That wasn't my intention. I apologize." And I try to work through things candidly with the people that are around me. And I have found that that's in the circles I work in, it's great because most of my NFL players actually have very high emotional IQs. Surprisingly, people are surprised when I say that. They're quick to resolve things. They're quick to take ownership. And then when I get out into the world of dating, I can't find that anywhere. So I actually stopped dating about 3 years ago and haven't even tried since. Yeah.
Well, guys, if you're listening, you know what she's looking for, possibly high emotional IQ, number one.
Oh, and also it's funny. I always see these Instagram posts. They kind of frustrate me. It's like, well, what do you bring to the table? And both men and women are saying, what do you bring to the table? And I always laugh because I joke with my friends. I was like, well, I built the table. All he has to do is pull up a chair and join the conversation. I don't need him to build me a house. I don't need him to provide me all these things.
Do you think that that's part of the situation, though? Like honest conversation? Girl talk, I guess. Like, do you think you hang out with a lot of guys. I was a very much a tomboy, so this resonates. I have an older brother. Do you think that also plays a role as far as like, you're kind of one of the boys and you're around them all the time. So it's almost like it's different when you're trying to be a feminine side in a relationship.
It is different. When I work, I'm very much in my masculine. And I'm good with that because I have to be. I'm also almost 20 years older than most of the young men I work with. And people don't put that together. These are my little brothers. They literally call me sis or Hill or sis. Those are the two things that they call me. I'm not looked at as someone that would be like in their dating realm and vice versa. No, thank you. Not for me. Also, I live in Idaho and I'm not moving. So this is where my family is. And that also complicates things. Idaho's not a very big state, as you can imagine.
No,
but I do think that society has shifted. And if this does apply in finance, women are now, since 1981, when the Fair Banking Acts came out, women could open bank accounts for the first time in history inside the United States. That was 40 years ago. 1981. Wow. You could not open a bank account inside the United States by yourself as a woman. You had to have a male cosign for you, whether it was a dad, a husband, a brother. Like there had to be a man on the account.
Crazy. I didn't realize it was that recent. Holy.
Yeah. And then the Equal Opportunity Act came through and that passed and basically said women can now have a bank account. They couldn't have a credit card until a few years later. I think it was 1984. Don't quote me on the exact dates. It's 1980 to 1984. Those are literally the years. Ago. Yeah, not that literally right before I was born. So we're talking 40 years ago. You couldn't own a home as a woman by yourself until 1987, the year I was born. So 39 years ago. That's not very long. Now, if we look at 30 years ago, 40 years ago, saying this is the first time women could be financially independent of men, we're just talking statistically, no emotion behind it. Yep. Now they can have a bank account. They can work. Well, now they're financially independent. They aren't reliant on a man to pay the bills and get a bank account and buy the house. Fast forward to 2000, when women started investing in real estate. And then fast forward to 2026, 42% of real estate in the United States is owned by single women or women only on the titles.
Wow.
So you've now seen a complete shift of what men and women financially are responsible for over the last 40 years, which has changed the dynamic, because up until 1980, you had no choice but to be attached to another man or a man in general in order to survive. Physically couldn't get food on the table without it. Now we don't need that. And so women are looking for something different in their partners. And even when I work with families, I work with corporations, one of the big problems I hear is I don't know how to talk to them about money, whether that's him or her, partnership, whatever, because it's so new. We're talking about centuries upon centuries upon centuries of men running everything. And in the last 40 years, we've pushed for equality, which is killer. I love it. It gives me the lifestyle that I afford.
Right.
But it's also changed what men have to bring to the table. It's no longer about the money for most women. Some women still would prefer to be, traditional. And I love that. I think that's great. We have all types of people. That's the beauty of society. But because of it, because most women are working and they're making their own money, men have to show up in different ways. They have to show up emotionally intelligent. They have to be able to have conversation. They can't just come home and ignore you. And women can walk away in bad situations, which I think is the most crucial piece.
Powerful. Yes.
The most crucial piece. And I still see it to this day in some of my friends that we've gotten out of bad situations where the guy held them hostage using money without them realizing that that's what was happening. So being able to help identify that and get them out of those situations. Money can be a very manipulative tool, but now that women have control over it, in most cases, or they're learning how to use it to become financially independent, it changes the dynamic of relationships. And not to say that that's the reason I'm not in one. I genuinely don't try that hard to be in one. I'm very happy with my life. And I would love to have a partner, sure. But I'm not going to date for the sake of dating, Yeah,
take it or leave it. I like it. If it happens, it happens. That's very cool. That's awesome. Where do you see this going? Like, where do you wanting to go with your business in the next 5 to 10 years? Are you going to branch out? Are you going to, start to build a team? Or just kind of stay solo? What are you?
Oh, I have a team. I have a team. I have a team of 11. Okay, so we're definitely a boutique company, but it's not just me. I just happen to be the face and the speaker. I do have 2 other speakers. I do have 2 other financial educators that do workshops, webinars, and all the things for me, or with me, I should say, not for me, with me. But next step for us 2 to 3 years is we're growing very fast in the corporate space with employers across the U.S. The need and demand for what we do is there, and we're very excited. I love helping companies. I love seeing what types of companies are out there. And I get a lot of exposure to that now that people are reaching out and saying, hey, can you come do a series of workshops for us or a series of webinars? How do we implement your AI dashboard? So there's a lot of stuff that we offer within our corporate packages that is expanding us out into totally different arenas. So I'm hoping by the next 2 to 3 years, we expand our team to 20 total. And that we are working with at least 100 corporations, including the NFL and the NBA and the NCAA. We do work with some universities.
Or you can get some NHL ones in there if you like hockey.
Funny enough, one of my best friends is the assistant GM for the San Jose Sharks. So it's coming.
Cool.
It's coming. He's great. One day we'll make it work one day. The NHL is just a little slower on the uptick. And also we're talking about a totally different demographic of dudes. 60% of them aren't even from the US. So, we got Russia, Canada, Finland. I see Finnish and Swedish guys all the time. So we'll see if we jump into the NHL, but I would love that personally.
Yeah.
It's my sport. Not that I know who anybody actually is, but I enjoy the game.
I used to have a crush on some of the people, and I look at them and I'm like, what was I thinking? They were not good looking at all. I must have been a very blind child.
I just like boxing on ice. It's kind of my favorite thing.
It is very rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw the trend on social media they call hockey boy aquarium, and I just laugh like, this is great. I just think this sport is such a finesse level sport that I really enjoy watching it, and it's really fast. If you see it live, you do not get bored.
Football's hard for me to watch. I'm like, why are they always hugging on the field? Like, people don't like touching with me. I'm like, look at them, they're hugging again.
I don't mind it when I'm watching a game in person.
In person would be fun.
But it's also a long game. Like, you're there for 4 hours, and I don't have that kind of attention span. Like, I can't even sit down and watch a movie for 2 hours, let alone watch a football game for 4. So I usually get up and I walk around and I go find some food and I'm talking to people, because sitting in a seat for 4 hours, oh my gosh, it's hard enough to do that on planes when I can't go anywhere.
Right. I'm with you. That's super awesome. So I know we could go forever. Like I said, I love this stuff. Try to keep these short and sweet so people actually listen and come back. And I'm sure we'll have you back as you grow, which is super exciting. I always have 3 final questions before we wrap up, and then anything we didn't touch on that you think would be really impactful for our listeners. So first and final question is, if someone is looking for their purpose, what's one sentence you could say that could help them find it?
Life is an occasion, rise to it.
Cool.
I love that.
Second one is kind of similar, I guess. I'm sure there's a different one. What's a favorite quote and why?
Ooh. Probably one that my mom gave me before she died. She wrote us a letter, and she said, money is a tool. It's not the world. Use it to get where you want to go, but don't make it your life.
That's good. Really important. Third and final question. What's one word or sentence you want on your gravestone?
She made an impact.
That's good. I'm sure you are. Like I said, guys, everything will be in the show notes. Make sure to reach out. All right. You run into someone in a coffee shop. What's something we didn't touch on that you think would be really impactful for our listeners?
Yeah. Start a conversation, ask questions, whatever it is you're interested in, find somebody to talk to about it. I don't think that we talk enough about the things we're interested in or the things that we don't understand, because we don't want to feel stupid. And the best way I know how to learn about things is to ask questions, even if they sound dumb. So I'm the person who's asking the stupid question because I know I'm going to learn. And I encourage everyone to ask the stupid question.
There's no stupid questions. That's good.
How you learn.
Yeah, that's true. Guys, if we can go out there, if we can share this, if we can help one person or one starfish at a time, together, we can help change the world. Thanks for being on, Hillary.
Thank you.